Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. We get lots of emails from companies wanting to send us stuff all the time, most of which isn't really relevant to what we do here on the channel, but sometimes we get one of those emails and it's something that kind of stands out to us, and that's exactly what happened when Keek reached out and asked us if we wanted to take a look at their new keyboard, the KR081. This is a pre-order keyboard, so just take that into account. And I did think this was interesting enough to check out because it's wireless, it's an exploded 75% layout, it's got 81 keys, and it's got hot swap switches, and this aluminium body that is so heavy, you could probably use it as a weapon, and it's got an 8,000 milliamp hour battery setup. You can already see why I said yes to this. So let's take a bit of a closer look. I gotta preface this, and I always need to do this, but Keek didn't pay us a cent. They literally just sent us the keyboard. When they sent an email through with photos, I was genuinely interested because on paper, this keyboard looks pretty special. Now, this keyboard is also a pre-production version of the keyboard. That means it doesn't have everything from the production version in the box. However, this is the final version of the keyboard, except they tell me that like it's not as good as the actual final, but I don't believe them because the quality of this thing is really, really good. And I also wanted to mention that I know quite a bit about keyboards, but I'm really into the off-the-shelf solutions and not really into the custom keyboard scene. The reason is the rabbit hole with custom keyboards just goes far too deep, and I just don't have time for it. So please forgive me in advance and be nice, because I'm sure even you custom keyboard enthusiasts are gonna like this thing. The design and construction is ridiculously solid. The keyboard itself weighs around 1.85 kilos. You heard that right. It's a thick boy. Now, it weighs more than a Mac Mini, triple the weight of my Logitech G915, and just under double the weight of my iQnix keyboard that I game with. It's easily the most dense keyboard that I've ever held. It's 153 millimeters wide, 345 millimeters long, and around 43 millimeters high. Overall, it's a pretty average sized 75% deck. The included cable is a coiled USB Type A to Type C cable, which is not included with this pre-production sample, unfortunately, and they're saying it can be used to charge the KR081's 8,000 milliamp hour battery or to use it as a wired keyboard. The keyboard itself has a left-aligned USB Type-C port if you're looking at it from the top down, and it's on the back of the keyboard. The KR081 has per key RGB lighting and has an RGB strip on the front edge of the chassis that provides additional illumination, and there's also an additional RGB strip above the arrow keys. In the box, you'll also find a key pulling and switch removal tool and additional keycaps to change the Alt keys and Option keys, and that from Windows or Super keys to the Command key if you're using this with macOS. The top side of the deck is made from aluminium, and there is no way on earth that this keyboard could possibly deck flex. It literally hurts my arm when I pick it up. The form factor of the keyboard is really nice too, and the spacing is really nice, which is something that I like with keyboards. The ergonomics of the function row feels pretty well thought out as well, because I do like that gap. I don't like when everything's all squished together because, you know, I've got fat fingers, I can't help it. The Keek KR081 is excellent to type on. It comes in two flavors, a Gateron red version and a Gateron brown version. The version that we're showing here is obviously the red version. The keycaps are PBT with a rounded profile and have a stack of cat-related stuff all over the legends, which I really like, and that was kind of one of the things that really drew me to this keyboard because I like cats. But let's have a little bit of a listen to the keyboard. It's got a few other tricks up its sleeve too. It has a silicone layer and bumpers for absorbing a lot of the sound that you get from when you type, and as far as I can tell, this works quite well. As mentioned before, it's a 75% deck with that kind of exploded layout. It's got hot swap switches, but what makes this keyboard special is that it's also wireless. And you guys may or may not know this, but anything wireless, you got me. I don't like cables. It's got a little magnetic trapdoor on the top right-hand side of the keyboard where you can store the included 2.4 gigahertz wireless dongle. And yeah, that just plugs in USB and the keyboard's good to go wirelessly. The keyboard can also be connected via Bluetooth, and it's got a little toggle switch on the right-hand edge of the deck that allows you to switch it from wired to wireless. And there's also another toggle that allows you to switch from 2.4 gigahertz wireless to Bluetooth. The KR081 also supports connecting up to 3 Bluetooth devices as well. So if you're using your phone or like an iPad or a tablet or whatever and your computer, you can have all 3 connected to the keyboard. The other thing is, this keyboard is pretty individual looking, and that's something that gets my attention pretty quickly. Now, there's lots of nice little touches that make this keyboard very interesting to look at as well. As I mentioned before, it's got an extra RGB strip along the front edge and also above the arrow keys. It's got those little cat legends all over the keys, which is really nice. And if you flip the keyboard over, there's a Keek logo on the underside of the keyboard. That looks pretty premium, and you'll find that little cat logo on the escape key too. As far as battery life, they're claiming 4 to 6 weeks with no illumination, which is impossible to test because I haven't even had it that long. As far as with illumination, they're saying 3 to 4 weeks, which is pretty hard to say because I still haven't had it for that long. But I've used it wirelessly the whole time I've had it with illumination on, and it seems to be working fine. But there's also no way to see what the battery levels are as well because the software just does not work, but I'll come back to that. Now with these keyboard videos, and the way I always do it is, I always write the entire script on the keyboard as well, so I can get that whole experience of writing a whole script. I also gamed on this keyboard for a few days as well without plugging it in to test it. And that's the primary way I like to test stuff, is if it's got wireless, I'm gonna use the wireless mode. And again, like I said, I had the lighting switch on the whole time and it seems to be going strong. All right, as I mentioned earlier, the KR081 can be controlled in the supplied software in both Windows and macOS. They have both versions, but unfortunately, the software did not work in either operating system because I've got a Mac behind me, which I use to do all the script writing and all that stuff on, and my gaming PC right next to it, which is Windows. It just didn't work. So I couldn't actually test what you could customize in the software, but I'm gonna say that's gonna be macros and lighting and that kind of stuff. So that was my main issue with the keyboard so far, is that the software flat out just did not work. Now with my experience using this type of keyboard for my purposes, which may be the same thing that you guys are into, and the main thing I do here is obviously content creation. So from that standpoint, which is again my primary use case, I know it's boring, the KR081 is fairly usable. The only thing that I miss is the numpad, but you know what you're getting yourself into if you're buying a keyboard like this. Some people need it for content creation. I need a numpad. I know that for a fact, so maybe you don't, so it might be perfect for you. For gaming though, this keyboard is spot on. I didn't feel like it impacted my playstyle or my ability to be pretty terrible at games these days, but let's be honest, I only played Minecraft with this keyboard. That's what I've been playing lately again. I'm sorry, but you know, I've got to be real with you guys. I also wanted to mention that if you're using the KR081 with the KVM, you shouldn't have any issues both wired and wireless. I did test this because I do use a KVM for a lot of what we do here, and it worked flawlessly. What are my final thoughts on the Keek KR081? Well, to be honest, I really like this thing. Even though, again, I'll say it for the millionth time, this is a pre-production version, I'm gonna come out and say, and people are definitely gonna disagree with me because, you know, it's the internet. People always disagree with everything I say, but I think that Keek have nailed this keyboard. The design is unique enough to make this thing individual. It's great to type on. Ergonomically, it's spot on. The software needs a bit of work though, because even I couldn't get it to work. Other than that, I gotta say it, I'm gonna have to recommend this keyboard, and it's as simple as that. This is probably the best quality and probably most well executed pre-built keyboard that I have ever seen. In fact, I don't think I've used many devices at all that are built with this level of quality. This thing is ridiculously nice, and please don't use that as a quote, Keek. I know companies have a huge habit of quoting me for their marketing stuff, but this is just facts. This is not some marketing spin rubbish. This is legitimately an awesome keyboard, right? Don't quote me. I don't like being quoted for marketing stuff. With all that said, we got to talk about the price. This is where it's the deal breaker for you. Maybe, maybe not. If you're interested in getting your fingers on the Keek KR081, they're currently on pre-order from Keek directly, starting at $219 for the barebone version, whatever that means, and $249 USD for the non-barebone version, whatever that means, right? And they should be available sometime at the end of March 2022, according to the website. But let us know in the comments what you guys think about the Keek KR081. You guys already know how I feel about it. I think this thing is really, really interesting. It's spot on in terms of quality and execution. It is really, really good. I'm also pretty tempted to switch from this keyboard here. This is my Arcunix one that I use for gaming. I would probably just switch the keycaps over to this one because they'll work. I just love, oh my God, how heavy this thing is, and it doesn't move on the desk when you use it at all. I love the finish. I reckon with the combination of these keycaps on the Keek, it'll look awesome, but I kind of want to keep the cat glyphs. They just look so cool. Yeah, I don't know. Let us know what you think. If you guys liked the video, please like and subscribe. If you hated the video, the dislike button doesn't do anything anymore. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peek, we seeking. What do you guys think about switching from my L80, which is like, I love this keyboard. It's really nice. I've been gaming on it since I got it. As you can see, I have customized it with custom keycaps. I didn't change the switches on this because I liked the switches that this shipped with, but I'm really liking how quiet this is, and I think we might lose a bit of that with these keycaps, but these keycaps, these like pudding ones, these are the glorious ones. They look so good. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Should I switch? Should I switch?